I started YouTube at the beginning of this year and I realized I haven't yet made a video that outlines what this channel is really about. I've talked about the fact that I'm an independent filmmaker.
Well, we'll fix it in post.
I used to work in finance and fintech, but essentially what I'm doing on this channel is I'm documenting my journey towards sustaining myself doing solely what I love. The shorter way of saying this is that I'm documenting my journey of joining the new rich as a creative. So in this video, I'm going to outline my 3-step plan of how to get there. For those of you who haven't heard this term before, the concept of the new rich lifestyle was coined and popularized by Tim Ferriss in a little book called the Hour Workweek, and it has since influenced many writers such as Nathan Latka, who wrote this book here, How to Be a Capitalist Without Any Capital. And it's not to be confused with the newly rich, the nouveau riche as we call them, because unlike the newly rich, the new rich are seeking a lifestyle that is rich primarily in time and mobility. That means they are abandoning the idea of working for somebody else in order to have a nice retirement further down the line, and instead optimize their lifestyle today to free up their time and their ability to go wherever they want to go. And that freedom is going to mean something different for everybody. There is no one blueprint here to follow, because ultimately you want to optimize for whatever matters most in life to you and only you. But what I'm hoping is that by documenting my personal journey on this channel, I can give you some inspiration of how you can find your own path of joining the new rich and doing only what you love. But before we get into my 3-step plan of how to join the new rich, let me first define what doing what I love means for me. Doing what I love as a creative for me means having the ability to work on creative ventures without the pressure to have them pay off financially right away. In film, that means having the ability to make bigger films without needing permission from anybody else. So that could be distributors, financiers, international sales agents. But doing what I love also means having the mental freedom and the freedom of time to go after interesting ideas and inspirations whenever they pop up on short notice, whether that's creative or in finance or in entrepreneurship. People often use the phrase follow your passion, and that's great, but it implies that you already know what your passion is and that you then follow that with dedication. And I think that's a flawed idea, because to me, true freedom goes a step further, and it means being able to discover new passions on the fly and then having the resources to pursue those again without having to ask for permission. With all that being said, here are the 3 things I'm doing to join the new rich, and therefore the 3 categories of content that you can expect to see on this channel. If you ever see any content on this channel that has nothing to do with one of those 3 categories, feel free to absolutely destroy me in the comment section. Not that you need my permission to do that. You have the freedom to do that whenever you want, but I'm giving it to you anyway. So, step number 1. Optimizing productivity. This means building better systems for work and for life, taking better notes using tools like Roam and Notion, which I've dedicated the most time to on this channel thus far. It doesn't have anything to do with working faster or working longer hours. Under this definition, hustling harder does not necessarily improve your productivity, but building better systems always does. Optimizing productivity also means improving my day-to-day routines. And this is something I've dedicated a lot of time to recently, because I'm trying to find that perfect balance when deciding what needs to become a routine that is always done every single day or every single week, and what needs to be turned into a single venture that I can work on and then systematize over time and then step away from once it's automated. A big question I think we should all be asking ourselves when it comes to productivity is, what are the non-negotiables on a daily basis, and what are the things that we want to leave open and more free flow? For example, I want meditation and some sort of workout or regular movement to be a non-negotiable in my day. I'm not there yet, but I want it to be. Versus for creative tasks, I really prefer going towards a kind of system that leaves more open space in my calendar and that is less rigid. Naval Ravikant preaches the importance of having an empty schedule as a creative. And while I don't necessarily take that as gospel, I do think that my schedule has been a little bit over-structured in recent months. So I'm trying to move away from that and being more comfortable with that empty space in my calendar. That way, in theory, I should have more room for open reflection and creative ideas to pop up naturally, and we'll see where that's going. I'll definitely be documenting that as well. Before we move on to step number 2, please take a second and lightly tap that like button below the video. It's all for the YouTube algorithm. Gotta be kind to the algorithm, gotta be gentle to the like button. And with that being said, let's move on. Step number 2. Optimizing your finances. That means finding more ways to create passive income and saving more money in your day-to-day. You'll notice what's missing here is the quest for a higher salary. Making more money is great. I'm always looking for ways to make more money, but it has to be passive, meaning it cannot be linked to how much time you actively put in. And when I say passive income, it doesn't have to be completely passive, okay? We're not looking for that silver bullet that means you'll never have to work again in your life, or the one trick that nobody knows about that you can have for $39.99 today. Putting a bit of time into generating passive income ventures up front is both necessary and fun, but we want to avoid the trap of trying to generate more money through active income, such as a 9-to-5 job, and then in turn sacrificing your time and mobility because now you're dependent on an employer and you have to ask for time off and you have to negotiate remote work, etc., etc. Plus, if you then happen to dislike your job, you're most likely going to compensate for that by inflating your lifestyle, buying a better car, better house, buying more expensive things to make you feel better, and that's going to make you even more reliant on your employer because you're going to have to continue making that amount of money on a consistent basis, which means it's now harder for you to get out of that cycle. The only active income I seek is with creative ventures that I am largely in charge of. Since I love making films, I'm happy to invest my time actively to make money with filmmaking, so long as I have a good degree of control over the creative elements involved, which doesn't make me as dependent on my employer the way I would be in a typical 9-to-5 job. Now, the second part of this optimizing finances to join the new rich equation is saving money. And this one is pretty straightforward. The more money you save day to day, the more money you have to invest, and the more money is going to compound for you over time, which is going to grow exponentially, and eventually you'll be at a point where the interest and the appreciation of those investment assets is going to pay for most, if not all, of the essentials in your life. And that means that you can now take out the interest from the principal of your investment and live largely off that without even having to tap into your savings. The new rich know where to save money and where not to save money. And the key, of course, is time. It makes sense to save money if you can do so without investing a stupid amount of time. But if you're going to have to triple your input of time to save just a little bit of money, you're actually losing out. So that's a simple decision rule that I try to apply for myself. If I can save money without investing more time into it, I'm going for it. That usually means not buying things unless they're either essential or have clear utility in my life. For example, that means only buying the clothes that I need, keeping my wardrobe relatively simple so I don't have to waste time in the morning thinking about what I'm going to wear today. If I could save money, but it comes at the cost of more time invested, it's a no. But if it does take extra time, but I enjoy the process, usually it's a yes. One such example for me is cooking. So cooking saves me a lot of money as opposed to eating out, but it does take a bit of extra time to prepare your meals at home. I really enjoy cooking. It's both meditative and I enjoy the challenge of trying to make good food. So for me, that is 100% worth it. And going back to the wardrobe, if you really enjoy fashion and you like spending 10 to 15 minutes every morning trying to pick out what you're going to wear today, then that's something that's going to give you value and utility, so you should absolutely go for it and maybe keep your wardrobe a little bit bigger. If you're looking for more content of how to save money in your day-to-day, I'd love to make videos on that. Just comment down below something like money or wealth. It helps the algorithm, it helps me, and that way I know what people are looking for. Finally, in relation to the second point, here is one concrete way that I've been working towards optimizing my finances, and that is going towards a more minimalist lifestyle. This ticks many boxes because it allows me to save money, but it also makes it easier to be mobile because I don't have to worry about the literal baggage of all the stuff I own. I've been working on building a minimalist lifestyle since 2015, and I've definitely overshot in the past where I've lived solely out of a duffel bag without owning anything else, which was a bit too unrooting for me over time. Then I overshot maybe too much the other way, and now I own a little bit too much for my liking, especially digitally, because digital minimalism is also important when it comes to subscriptions and the amount of influx of information that you experience on a day by day. So there's something I'm just trying to find a better balance with. So I'll definitely be making videos on that if there's interest. Last step for number 3 of how to join the new rich. There is learning new skills. This is important for me for creative inspiration. Not only is it a fun thing to do as an end to itself, but it also serves pillar 1 and pillar 2. New skills, creative or not, can fuel ideas for how to make passive or active income. But it also relates to pillar 1, because once you've optimized your productivity to an extent that you're quite happy with, you've now freed up a lot of time and you have to decide what to do with that time. And in anticipation of getting to that point and having a lot of time to work with, I want to make sure that I'm not just staring into the void, but instead have something to fill that time with. And for me, learning new skills is what excites me the most in that regard. You see this a lot when it comes to optimizing productivity because people get so obsessed with the optimization itself that they lose track of why they're optimizing. The same is true with money, where you see people that fall in love with the making of the money more so than what the money can actually afford. afford them. And so when they retire, they feel like something's missing and they can't really enjoy the fruit of their labor. So that's a real danger when it comes to optimizing anything in life, especially productivity, because now you have all this new time and you want to make sure that you're using it for the things that you really want to do. So for me, learning new skills is the umbrella term that encapsulates a lot of things that are exciting, because then you're meeting new people and that leads to more inspiration, that leads to more creative ideas, and that just kind of completes this beautiful cycle of purpose and significance and energy and happiness. And that's the utopia that I envision, and we'll see whether that is naive. It probably is, but that's why I'm making these videos. As always, if you haven't done it yet, lightly tap that like button, be gentle to it, but also hit that subscribe button right underneath and the notification bell if you so wish. It helps me out and it helps the algorithm out with that sweet, sweet data. And with all that being said, I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you here real soon. Cheers.